Good morning, all. I hope you are all doing fine. This is Cry the Beloved Country by Alan Paton. In this video, we will see Chapter 7 and Chapter 8 from Book 1. In the previous videos, we covered up to 6 chapters. We saw how Stephen Kumalo traveled to Johannesburg and reached the mission house with the help of an old man called Muffalo. After that, he met Reverend Theophilus Imzimangu and told him that he has a brother named John Kumalo here in Johannesburg. Not only that, his only son, Absalom, who came in search of Gertrude, also here in Johannesburg. Stephen Kumalo stayed with Mrs. Lithby. The rent was 3 shillings a week, and he can have his meals there. And we saw the letter came from Reverend Theophilus Imzimangu on September 25th, 1946. And he met Gertrude, his sister, who is 25 years younger than him, in Hyacinth Street, number 11. He didn't like the place, so he moved Gertrude to Mrs. Lithby's place. So now we will see Chapter 7. The title of Chapter 7 is John Kumalo. So in this chapter, Stephen Kumalo meets his brother, John Kumalo. Gertrude's dress was dirty, and the black, greasy knitted cap that she wore on her head made him ashamed. So Stephen Kumalo brought his sister Gertrude to Mrs. Lithby's house, and he noticed that Gertrude's dress was very dirty. Not only that, her cap also dirty. So what he did, Kumalo, though he had little money, he brought her a red dress and a white turban for her head. So for Gertrude, he brought a red dress and a white turban. Not only that, Gertrude has a son. So for him, a shirt, a pair of short trousers, and a jersey for the boy, and a couple of stout handkerchiefs for his mother to use on his nose, because Gertrude's son has a running nose, so he brought kerchiefs for him. So Stephen Kumalo was in his room writing a letter to his wife. At that time, Imzimangu came. So Kumalo put aside the letter that he was writing to his wife, and both of them were going to meet Stephen Kumalo's brother, that is John Kumalo. So Imzimangu and Kumalo reached John Kumalo's shop. John Kumalo was sitting on a chair talking to 2 other men. So Stephen Kumalo's brother, John Kumalo, was talking to his friends. Seeing these people, Imzimangu and John Kumalo, they left. And these people started their conversation. Kumalo asked John, "Is your wife Esther well?" Esther is the wife of John Kumalo. So Stephen Kumalo is asking, "Is your wife Esther well?" And John replies, "My wife left me 10 years ago." Stephen Kumalo didn't know these things because John Kumalo stopped writing letters. Not only John Kumalo, Gertrude and his only son Absalom, all of them are not writing letters anymore. So Stephen Kumalo doesn't know anything about their separation. Next, John says, in Dotshani, I am nobody. I am subject to the chief, who is an ignorant man. I must salute him and bow to him. So John compares his life in Dotshani and in Johannesburg. John says that in Dotshani I am nobody. I am subject to the chief. That chief is an ignorant man. So what I have to do, I have to salute. Though he is ignorant, I have to salute and bow to him. But here in Johannesburg, I am a man of importance and of some influence. So, and he continues, I have my own business. I can make 10 to 12 pounds a week. And says, I do not say I am free here. At least I am free of an old ignorant man who is nothing but a white man's dog. Who is a white man's dog here? The chief. So John Kumalo says that I am not saying that I am free in Johannesburg, but at least I am free of that chief, old ignorant chief. That chief is nothing but a white man's dog. Whatever the white man says, the chief will follow it. So that is why he is saying the chief is a white man's dog. John Kumalo is politically famous. So instead of talking to Mzimangu and Stephen Kumalo, he takes this opportunity and talks a lot of things, thinking that there is a big group of audience. So he speaks like that. He continues, go to our hospital and see our people lying on the floor. But they are the ones who dig gold for 3 shillings a day. Go and see our black people in the hospital. They don't have proper place there. They are lying on the floors. And these people, these black people are the ones dig gold for 3 shillings a day. And John Kumalo continues that to dig gold from the mines, we come from Transkei. So from what are all the places people come to Johannesburg to work in the mines? He says they come from Transkei, Basuto, and then Bechuanaland, Swaziland, and Zululand. From all these people, from all these places, people come and work in the mines. Only men are allowed to come. So they must live in the compounds. We must leave our wives and families behind. So John Kumalo says that we are the one dig gold for 3 shillings and we come from Transkei, Basuto, Bechuanaland, Swaziland and Zululand, and we live in the compounds. Compounds means a place for people to stay. A company will arrange a place to stay, right? That kind of place, compounds. And they have to leave their wives and families behind. And John Kumalo continues, when the new gold is found, it is not us who will get more for our labor. It is the white man's shares that will rise. So if they find a new gold mine, it will benefit only the white man. nothing is going to happen for the black people. There will be no rise in their pay. So that is what John Kumalo mentions. When the new gold is found, it is not us who will get more for our labor. It is the white man's shares that will rise. They say all the South Africa is built on the mines, but it is not built on the mines. It is built on our backs, on our sweat, on our labor. So John Kumalo says, everybody says that South Africa is built on mines, but it is not true. It is built on our backs, on our sweat, on our labor. And he says, the white priests get 4, 5, 6 times what you get, my brother. So he compares his brother's salary with the white priest's salary. So he says white priests get 4, 5, 6 times more than what you get. And then he stops there, and Stephen Kumalo informs John Kumalo that Gertrude is with me and she is coming back to Dotsheni. So he says that his sister Gertrude is going back to Dotsheni. And he asked, where is my son? And John replies that he was friendly with my son. My son did not agree with his second mother. So I heard that they had a room in Alexandra. They were both working for a factory. So John Kumalo's son was not staying with them because he didn't agree with his second mother. So they took a room in Alexandra, and both of them staying in Alexandra and working for a factory. John Kumalo took a diary and gave the address to Stephen Kumalo. The address was Doorfontein Textile Company, 14 Cross Street. So this was the address given by John Kumalo. Doorfontein Textile Company, 14 Cross Street. When they say goodbye to his brother and they are going to the company. When they reached on their way, Nsimangu talks about John Kumalo. Nsimangu says, your brother is a big man here. You must hear him at a meeting. He and Dubula and a brown man named Tomlinson, they speak like a bull and growls in his throat like a lion. I already told you these people are politically involved, and these three are very famous. John Kumalo, Dubula, and brown man named Tomlinson. So they speak like a bull and growls in his throat like a lion. And Nsimangu continues that John Kumalo has not enough courage, for he would be surely sent to prison. So he talks about John Kumalo that he has not enough courage. Next, Nsimangu talks about black people and white people. When a man loves, he seeks no power. There is only one hope for our country. That is, when white men and black men, desiring neither money nor power, but desiring only the good of their country, come together, work for it. So when will our country's status improve? It is when the white men and black men, desiring neither money nor power, but desiring only the good of their country, come together, work for it. And then He adds, I have one great fear in my heart, that one day when they are turned to loving, they will find we are turned to hating. So Imzimangu says that when white people are turned to loving, these black people will be turned to hating. They reached the Doorfontein Textile Company and heard from them that Absalom left the work 12 months ago. And the people remembered that Absalom was friendly with a person called Dhalamani. So he told them Absalom was staying with Ndela at 105 N Street, Sofia town. So this Lamani gave the address of Absalom. So what is the address? It is Ndela at 105 N Street, Sofia town. So again they go to Ndela 105 N Street and they find that excuse me, Absalom was not there in the street, N Street. Mrs. Ndela brought a box full of papers and other belongings of Absalom and looked for the letter. She found and showed them the address. So what was the address? Care of Mrs. Casey, 79, 23rd Avenue, Alexandra. So first, Stephen Kumalo got the address from John Kumalo. The address was Doorfontein Textile Company. So from there, they went to the company and found that he was not working. He went from there 12 months ago. But Dhalamani is a person who is friendly with Absalom, gave the address of Mrs. Ndela, 105 N Street. They couldn't find Absalom there also. So Ndela gave the address of Casey, 79, 23rd Avenue, Alexandra. So you have to know the order because we don't know what questions will they ask. So try to remember the order. And while bringing the letter, that lady, Casey, was looking at Mr. Reverend Stephen Kumalo with pity. Imzimangu noticed that. So Imzimangu asked the woman, why did you look at my friend with pity? She said, I did not like his son's friends, nor did my husband. That's why they left us. Absalom left the place because Mrs. Casey and her husband, both of them did not like Absalom's friends. So here ends chapter 7, John Kumalo. Now we will move on to chapter 8. So chapter 8 is the journey to Alexandra. So we saw Mrs. Casey gave the address of Absalom, right? What was the address? Let's see, it is 79 23rd Avenue, Alexandra. This is the address, 79 23rd Avenue, Alexandra. So this is the address. So Imzimangu and Stephen Kumalo planned to go to Alexandra the next day because it's very late, so they can't go. So they planned for the next day. So that is chapter 8, the journey to Alexandra. The next morning, they took the first bus and get down at the place where Kumalo lost his pound. I hope you remember we saw that how Stephen Kumalo reached Johanna's bus stop, and he was very much afraid to cross the street because he remembered how Mapenza's son Michael was killed while crossing the road. He was crushed by a lorry. Right, so he was hesitating. A young man saw that and he asked him where he was going, and he said to the mission house. And he got a pound from him and said, I will go and collect the bus ticket. You stand in the line. But he never returned. So that is what here Kumalo lost his pound, right? So who helped in the bus stand? Mr. Muffalo, an old man, helped Stephen Kumalo, and he took him to the mission house. Next. So when they were standing there in Johannesburg bus stop, a man came up and asked Imsimangu, are you going to Alexandra? Imsimangu replied, yes. And the man says, we are here to stop you, not by force. We determined not to use these buses until the fare is brought back to 4 pence. So the man is saying that the bus fare is raised. It is 6 pence. So it has to brought back to 4 pence. So today is a strike. And Imsimangu says that they want us to pay 6 pence. 6 pence means a shilling. 1 shilling a day. So 6 shillings a week. Some of us get only 35 or 40 shillings a week. So we get as a pay only 35 or 40 shillings, but we have to spend 6 shillings a week for the buses. So it is not possible. So that is for the strike. So the bus fare has to brought back to 4 pence again. And Stephen Kumalo asks Mzimangu, is it far? Alexandra is far from here? And yes, it is 11 miles. 11 miles means 18 kilometers. And the man who came to persuade these people not to take buses today says that I cannot stop you taking a bus, but this is a cause to fight for. If we lose it, then they will have to pay more in Sophia Town, Claremont, and Cliptown and Primville. So if these strike is not successful, then what will happen? The bus fare will increase in places like Sophia Town, Claremont, Cliptown, and Primville. And these people say Imsimangu and Stephen Kumalo told him that, okay, we are not going to take bus. And this man was satisfied and left. And Stephen Kumalo said, that man has a silver tongue. So he successfully persuaded Imsimangu and Stephen Kumalo. That's why Stephen Kumalo says that man has a silver tongue. So Imsimangu says, that is famous Dubula, a friend of your brother John. So the person who came and persuaded Imsimangu and Stephen Kumalo not take buses is Dubula. So Dubula is a friend of John Kumalo. We already saw 3 persons, right? John Kumalo, Dubula, and Tomlinson. So here they met Dubula. So Dubula has the silver tongue according to Stephen Kumalo. Next, Imsimangu says, Tomlinson has the brain. Your brother has the voice. Dubula has the heart. People say Tomlinson has the brain. Your brother has the voice. Dubula has the heart. And Dubula is the one government afraid of. Because he himself is not afraid. He seeks nothing for himself. Imsimangu says that the government is afraid of Dubula because Dubula is not afraid of anything and he seeks nothing for himself. And Imsimangu asked Stephen Kumalo, what do we do now? So there are no buses to Alexandra. And Stephen Kumalo says, I am ready to walk. And Imsimangu says it's 18 kilometers, that is 11 miles. Will you walk 18 kilometers to and fro? That is totally 36 kilometers. And Stephen Kumalo says, you know that I am very anxious to meet my son. And they started walking. They walked through the European city, up Twist Street to the Clarendon Circle, and down Louis Botha towards Orange Grove. These are few places they crossed while walking to Alexandra. So what are the places? The European city, up Twist Street to the Clarendon Circle, Louis Botha towards Orange Grove. So they crossed these streets. After that, a car stopped and a white man spoke to them. Where are you two going? Imsimangu replied, to Alexandra, and the white man gave them lift. So they reached Alexandra. At the turn to Alexandra, they got down and said their thanks. After that, what happened is Imsimangu and Stephen Kumalo was standing for the car to go. But what happened? He did not go on. He turned his car around and was soon on the road back to Johannesburg. So he turned his car, the white man turned his car and again he is going back to Johannesburg. So they were surprised by this act. And they just stopped at Alexandra, so they have to go to 23rd Avenue. So it is still a long way to go to the 23rd Avenue. Now Imsimangu talks about Alexandra. Alexandra was the outside the boundaries of Johannesburg. So outside the boundaries of Johannesburg, and was a place where a black man could buy land and own a house. So where a black man can buy and land a house, buy land and own a house, it was in Alexandra. Not only that, in Alexandra, the streets were not cared for. There were no lights and so great was the demand for accommodation. People built rooms in their yards and let them to others for rent. So even in the yards, people built rooms and give it for rents. Most of the rooms were hideouts for thieves and robbers, and there was much prostitution and brewing of illicit liquor. So Alexandra is very famous for, this place was very famous for the hideouts for thieves and robbers. And not only that, prostitution and brewing of illicit liquor. So the white people of Orange Grove and Norwood and Highlands North, the white people of these three places, Orange Grove, Norwood and Highlands North, they wrote a petition to remove Alexandra from there. Understood? So people, white people of Orange Grove, Norwood, and Highlands North got up a petition to do away with the place, that is, to remove Alexandra from there, because there were many illegal things happening. And he says few incidents there. He says one of our young boys snatched a bag from an old white woman. She fell to the ground and died of shock and fear. So a white an old white woman, she fell to the ground and died of shock and fear. The next incident, a white woman who lived by herself in a house, because she resisted some of our young men who broke in, they killed her. So these people entered her house, she resisted, and she got killed. So this is the second incident. And he mentions the other incident. Sometimes white men and women sit in their cars in the dark under the trees on the Pretoria Road. So some white men and women sit in their cars under Pretoria Road. Some of our young men, black men, rob and assault them. So such kind of things happening in Alexandra. And he adds one more incident that he reminds me of a different incident. One of my friends live in Potchefstroom Road. So Mzimangu's friend was living in Potchefstroom Road. It was a winter night. There was a knock on the road. It was a white woman knocking, a rag to cover her body. A white man had done this to her. So during a winter time, a white lady came and knocking his friend's door. When they saw a white lady was standing there, covering her body with only rags. So what happened to her? Some white men raped her and threw her out of the car. Taken in his car, and when he satisfied himself, threw her out into the cold with these few rags and drove back to Johannesburg. My friend went to the house of a white farmer, not very far away, and told the white man of the trouble. The white woman would have shown her thanks with money, but she had no money. The white man said to my friend, "You are a good Kaffir." I hope you understood the story. Potchefstroom. Miss Imzimango's friend lives in Potchefstroom. So one day, it was winter time. One night, a white lady came and knocked the door. She covered her body with only few rags and told them that a white man did this to her. And his friend hurried to his father's place and brought him. And they gave some coffee and dresses for the lady and sent her back. Imzimangu says if the white woman who came without any dress covered her body in a rag, if she had money with her, she would have given that to his friend, but she doesn't have any money with her. And her father said to Imzimangu's friend that you are a good Kaffir. And he says that Professor Hornley, he is no more, he is dead. He was the greater fighter for us. He had Tomlinson's brain, your brother's voice, and Dubula's heart all in one. So these people are all separate qualities in them, But Professor Hornley has all these three people's qualities in him. All in one. That is why they are calling all in one. What are they? Tomlinson's brain, John Kumalo's voice, and Dubula's heart. Who is that? Professor Hornley. So they reached the place and they knocked the door. Mrs. Casey opened the door. He was not there, gone a year before. So Absalom was not there. He left the place a year ago. Imzimangu asked Kumalo to turn left at the big street and go up the hill and you will find a place for refreshment. You go and wait there. So when Imzimangu and Stephen Kumalo was talking to Casey, she was afraid of something. Imzimangu noticed that she was not telling anything because of fear. So he says that you have to go and wait there in the shop. I'll come back. And Imzimangu returned to the house and says to Mrs. Casey that I am not from police. There is an old man suffering because of his son. Because he cannot find his son. I am a priest. I will swear on the Bible that no trouble will come to you. So Imzimangu is persuading Mrs. Casey to talk. And he says that I am not from the police, so you no need to afraid of that. No trouble will come to you because of me. You saw that there is an old man who is looking for his son. And actually, Mrs. Casey brought the Bible and Imzimangu swore on that. After that only she spoke. And she said they bought many things here in the late hours. They were clothes and watches and money and food in bottles and many other things. So Mrs. Casey told Imzimangu that in late hours they brought clothes, watches, money and food in bottles. And she told him that they were friendly with the taxi driver, Lobini, near the bus rank he lives. So he gives a friend's name of Absalom. He is a taxi driver. Who is that? Lobini. So where he lives near the bus rank. So Imzimangu thanked her and left the place. And they went in search of the taxi driver. So they found the taxi driver Lobini and asked him, you are friendly with Absalom. So can you tell me where he is? And I heard he was gone to Orlando and lives there amongst the squatters. Squatters means unused building in Shantytown. So Lobini says that Absalom moved to Orlando and he lives in Shantytown. So they went in the same taxi. Actually, so taxi driver Lobini gave the address of Absalom and took them to Alexandria. So while they were going, they saw thousands of people were walking because of the boycott of the buses. Not only that, some white people stopped their cars and took in the black people to help them on their way to Alexandria. So this is not a normal scene there. So this is something unusual. White people stopped their cars and helped black people on their way to Alexandria. Seeing that, a traffic officer was talking to one of these white men had a license to carry the black people. So seeing this, a traffic officer stopped a white man and asked, "Do you have a license to carry people?" The white man replied, "I asked no money." And the traffic officer said that you are carrying passengers on a bus route. The white man said, "Then take me to the court." So I said, "I am not taking people for money. I am just helping them. So if you have any trouble, you ask me to come to the court. I am ready." So here ends the chapter 8. I hope it is very useful for you. And we have more chapters to cover in this Cry the Beloved Country by Alan Paton. Thank you very much for watching. We'll meet you in the next video. Thank you.